You know, if you want to lower your inflammation, that starts with restful sleep. So hear me out. Poor sleep actually can increase your blood sugars, increase your blood pressure, increase inflammation, and make your immune system less responsive. And it's not only about how many hours of sleep you actually get, when you sleep, how often you sleep, what you're doing when you're awake, and whether your body actually reaches deep sleep matters. Now, some people have spent their entire lives trying to fix their sleep and probably thousands of hours worrying about sleep, not to mention the dollar amount and medications that they know are bad for their brain, like diphenhydramine, maybe for years, and yet they still struggle with sleep. However, that's going to change today because in this video, I'm going to talk about 10 evidence-based strategies to improve sleep quality that also lower inflammation, proven by lowering inflammatory markers, including C-reactive protein and interleukin-6. My name is Dr. Liu, and I'm a double-boarded physician practicing for 25 plus years. And I have met a lot of people with sleep struggles. And if you watch this entire video, you're going to be able to implement what other people have done to change the quality of life, not only when they sleep, but when they wake up. And the best part about it is that it's all free. You're not going to have to buy any equipment. And if you watch this video until the very end, you're actually going to be surprised how many people who actually have chronic diseases improve their quality of life by using these simple techniques that I'm about to share. So number one is duration of sleep. 7 and 8 hours. Sounds easy to do, but it's actually pretty hard to implement. So the goal is for you to sleep between 7 and 8 hours every night. Now, I'm guilty of this because I just have too much fun doing what I do. But when you don't sleep at least 7 hours, or if you sleep longer than 9 hours, they're both associated with elevated C-reactive protein and interleukin-6 levels. So basically, these inflammatory markers in sleep are on a U or J-shaped curve. That means when you do too little or too much sleep, it actually has a negative relationship. And that's actually documented in over 72 studies with over 50,000 participants. Now, even one night of partial sleep deprivation, like what they force doctors to do, increases our genes to make more NF-kappa beta markers, which is a pro-inflammatory cytokine that increases inflammation. So yes, 7-8 hours is the optimal duration to sleep. Number two is practice sleep restriction therapy. That means don't do anything but sleep when you're in bed. So if you're tossing and turning and worrying in bed, that makes your brain start thinking that the bed is a place to be awake instead of a place to sleep. So you only want to be in bed for the amount of time that you actually sleep. For example, if you're in bed 8 hours, but you're only asleep for, let's say, 6, then you really should only be in bed for 6 hours. And the reason why this works is because when you spend less time in bed, you make the body extra tired. So when it is finally bedtime, you fall asleep faster and you stay asleep longer. And once you start sleeping well during a shorter time in bed, you can slowly add 15 more minutes each week until you're getting up to 7 to 8 hours. Now, here's what you need to know. You may feel more tired and grumpy for the first couple of weeks. That's actually pretty normal. And it all goes away when your sleep is better. It is actually one of the best proven ways to fix sleep problems without taking medications. But you shouldn't use this technique if you're a truck driver or if you have seizures because you can be extra sleepy during the daytime. And of course, if you're operating any dangerous equipment, just like trucks or cars, right? That could be dangerous. Now, the goal is to improve sleep quality and reduce fragmented sleep with sleep restriction therapy. And that indirectly improves inflammatory markers and simultaneously trains your brain that bedtime is sleepy time. Now, far too many people watch TV or they're scrolling on their iPhone or they're just lying awake worrying in bed. And over time, your brain starts thinking, the bed is actually a place to do those things. But that's not what you want to do. You want to train your brain to think the bed is for sleeping. So stimulus control fixes this by following some simple rules. Number one, only go to bed when you're feeling sleepy. And number two, get out of bed if you can't fall asleep after 15 to 20 minutes. And number three, never use a bed for anything else except sleep, like nothing else. no hanky-panky in the bed. Now, this teaches your brain that when you get in bed, it's time to go to sleep. You don't want to spend that time thinking or getting excited or worrying about stuff. So number 4 is what to do during the day, and that is to get moving or exercising for at least 30 minutes most days. Now, even though you're older, you're still like your kids. You need to work out, get that energy out. And movement or exercise is one of the best things for both sleep and reducing inflammation. Because when you move, you're circulating your body. You're getting your organs like pumped up. And your blood moves, whether you're walking, biking, swimming. And that helps calm down chemicals in your blood that causes swelling and pain, which is a form of inflammation. And it also helps you to fall asleep faster and sleep more deeply because you're working out all that energy. So how long are you moving during the day? The goal is to aim for at least 150 minutes a week to get your heart beating, your circulation going. So take a brisk walk. Please don't turtle walk. This is working out your energy, folks. Now, if you follow my channel, you know I talk about foods all the time. And of course, foods definitely will help you fight inflammation. I have plenty of videos on that. But these foods can also improve your sleep quality. So the things that I talk about on my channel include fruits and vegetables, whole grains, nuts, even olive oil can help lower inflammation. But it's not just about what you eat. It's about what you don't eat. Because many of the foods that you're eating, which is usually the junky, the sugary foods, or the highly processed foods, which is like 70% of what people eat, including the meats, they will have the opposite effect and they can raise inflammation and make your sleep worse. Those are called inflammatory foods. And if you have inflammatory foods in your diet, you have a 13% chance of having more sleep problems. Look at your food, folks. And by the way, if you find values in my videos, would you mind checking if you're subscribed? And if you are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, like button, and share button, because it does change how many people get to watch my videos. I appreciate your partnership in helping to change the world. Now, the next one is mindful meditation. That means sitting quietly and paying attention to your breathing, to your body, without judging yourself. No judging thoughts, okay? There's actually a study of older adults that showed that if they practice mindful meditation over 6 weeks, it actually made a huge difference in their sleep quality compared to just learning about sleep tips. Because when you meditate and when you breathe properly, you actually change your biochemistry. You lower the chemicals in your body that cause inflammation. Even a short 3-day practice has been shown to lower inflammation. I'm going to tell you more about that later because I'm really excited about that field of science. Now, if you can't sleep, please don't worry about that. That sounds weird, but worrying about sleep actually makes it harder to sleep. So stop checking your clock. So if you say to yourself, I'm never going to fall asleep at night, or you have decided that tomorrow it's just going to be a terrible night for sleep, well, you're setting yourself up for failure and you're going to stress yourself out. You're going to pump out stressful chemicals that will keep you awake and cause inflammation. And it's really important that you learn to change these worrying thoughts. That's called cognitive restructuring. That can be the single most helpful part of sleep therapy, basically life therapy. Okay, so remember how number 4, I said you got to move during the day. Well, most people think that sitting is a form of movement. Have I got news for you? It doesn't count when it comes to sleep quality. So when you sit for a long time, whether you're watching TV or working on your computer, it's actually linked to more inflammation. And if you sit a lot, you have a 26% chance of having sleep problems. Hence, you got to take sitting breaks. You can even go from sitting to standing. That's actually a form of squatting too. And if you do it repetitively, make it a game. See how fast you can do it over a 10-second break or a 15-second break. Do it every hour. Just get off your buns and do something else, right? Go get some water or go to the bathroom or just shake your body around. That includes your arms and your legs too. Now, if you actually start moving more, you're going to start eating better. and you're going to lose weight. And that's really, really important to keep a healthy weight. Because when you carry extra weight, that by itself causes you to release more inflammatory cytokines, inflammatory markers that makes sleeping a lot harder. So just by losing weight, you can improve your sleep. On the other hand, when you don't get enough sleep or bad sleep, it makes people gain weight. And it makes you spike more insulin for the same amount of food, then that makes you gain extra weight, which then makes you sleep less. Horrible loophole.
You point your camera app to this QR code. It'll take you to a link for a free handout that I created just for you.
And one of the most important misunderstood tools that people use to cope with sleeping problems is actually making sleeping worse, and that's alcohol. Now, alcohol can first make you feel sleepy, but actually it breaks up your sleep later in night, which then causes you to wake up multiple times during the night, reducing your sleep quality. And you may not even be aware of that. And unfortunately, many people who drink alcohol, they're also smoking. And smoking is one of the biggest causes of inflammation, folks. Inflammation all over your body. It fills your body with black toxins, right? Like soot. And just by not drinking and smoking before bed, literally before bed, that's one of the simplest things people can do to sleep better. But I'm sure it's simple in concept, but hard to implement, especially if you have an addiction. Now, I know many of you will say you don't have an addiction because you can quit anytime. Well, the fact that you're not doing it, even though you think you can do it, means that you're addicted, folks. And you need to get help. You need to go actually to have peers to help you. It's not just one-on-one therapy or taking a drug. It's actually going to Alcohol Anonymous or Smokers Anonymous. So if you have an autoimmune condition, that's when the immune system may mistakenly target your joints and skin and nerves, your thyroid, your intestine, or any other organ. And when that attack is severe, that's severe inflammation. That requires medical treatment. Sometimes that treatment is to prevent like permanent damage. By the way, when I talk about inflammation, all diseases cause inflammation or are caused by inflammation. That means they're all related to the immune system. And when these signals are messed up, sleep alone will not replace the treatment. But I can guarantee you that if you don't get enough sleep, you're going to feel like crap and your immune system will then totally be off balance and it's going to show it. So even though you may feel like you aren't doing much when you sleep, your body is actively going through tissue repair. It's organizing memories. It's rebuilding your body. Your hormones are changing. Your nervous system, that's shifting. Your immune cells, they are totally communicating with all your cells and directing the inflammatory signals, which are being regulated by them depending on how well you sleep. So if you're not sleepy enough and you wake up, that's a different kind of training during the day, right? And what you decide to do in your waking hours will determine how well you will sleep at night, right? And that includes how you're moving, what you're eating, what is supporting your body to recover, right? And besides everything that I've said, light is one of the most important things to get when you wake up. Because if you're trying to fix your sleep and you only focus on bedtime and you try really hard to say tonight I'm going to go to bed early, but you spend your day not exercising your energy out, you're going to struggle to feel sleepy. And then you're going to lie there staring at the clock, and 10 minutes becomes 30 or an hour, and you feel like you haven't accomplished much, right? You're still awake, and now you're worrying about being awake. That then drives up all these bad hormones because you're anxious about being awake. So a better place to begin your sleep, maybe not to start at night, but at the time when you wake up, because your body runs on an internal timing system called the circadian rhythm. And this coordinates how well you sleep, your body temperature, your hormone release, your digestion, your alertness, and your immune system. So when you wake up at completely different times each day, that rhythm actually becomes less predictable, right? So it's super important to wake up at a structured time every day and go to sleep at a structured time at night. And you shouldn't be making exceptions on the weekend and waking up later on the weekends. That may feel to you like catching up, but to your brain and your body, that's like crossing several time zones every few days. You're basically creating jet lag in your body without actually getting on the airplane and leaving. So if you want to learn more about that, watch the next video.